Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
बरोबर 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 हाँ हाँ फाइन फाइन हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ हाँ जी थैंक यू हाँ हाँ Okay, people, good morning. Nice to see you all. Has been a little challenge with a technical issue, but I'm glad that we are all sorted now. So, very good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to see you all back again online. And glad to see that all of us are fully charged on this Sunday morning to get started for the session. So, we're talking about some quick rules for the session so that we can make maximum out of this. So the first rule, let's ensure that all of us keep ourselves muted throughout the session, because I am going to mute you all. I'm also going to keep my sound off. I will not be able to hear you. So by any chance you have any questions or any doubts, I would appreciate if you could put it in the chat window. As in, when I get a chance to kind of connect back to you, we will be definitely checking your questions and replying back to you. Second rule is going to be that we definitely would want to address your queries. So we will give you an opportunity to ask your questions. Allow me to follow a proper thought process. Allow me to follow a proper structure. Some of the questions that we and the entire organization's team has identified for you, which they and we both feel that are important for you for your interviews. That's the reason we will be following some set of questions. So that first we would need to cover that content so that you are at least aware about the answers for those questions. Nevertheless, there are certain questions which may not be covered in the module, which has some queries which are unaddressed. We will be addressing those queries in the next session, which may not be covered in this session as well, right? So I would love to cover all your queries. So the remaining queries which go unaddressed, we will be covering in the next session, right? So talking about what is the focus area going to be. So the focus area is going to be purely on appearing for interviews, right? So we have been taking up sessions. The first session was purely on communication, building up confidence, so that we know as to how our mindset plays an important role. How do we ensure that we get the maximum the right impression, such that we can build up the right impact right in the beginning, right? Because the first impression does have a lasting impression, and we have just a few moments with the interviewer. So we discussed about how do we ensure that right from our thought process, our belief system ensures that we express ourselves very confidently, right? So that's the certain areas that we try to focus on in the first module, with covering about communication skills, self-confidence, the mindset, positive thinking, believing in yourself. So all of these things we did cover in the communication skills first session. Gradually we discussed about some quick introduction as to how do you give your first introduction, how do you make that first impression, your body language, your voice modulation. So a lot of these things we discussed in the following session, right? In today's session we are going to talk about some of the questions that can be asked during the interview. So I am hopeful that you all received the document which had the questions already answered, with certain templates, with certain suggestions that were mentioned in it. By any chance, if you have not received, you shall receive it on the portal itself. We've already informed they will share it with you. You may also receive it on your WhatsApp group. So by any chance, if you have not received it, you can collect it from the team. Many of you did receive it, is what I got to know. So for those who haven't received it, may want to collect it from the rest of them. So now let's get started. So when we are talking about appearing for an interview, we realize that the interview word itself, last time we discussed that that really scares us. But we really need to remember that if we are ourselves not having a belief, if we ourselves have a lot of self-doubt, we'll definitely not make it right. Okay, so to project that confidence to that interviewer, that hey, listen, I am the right fit for you. You have to show that you are the right fit, right? So we are going to ensure that we project ourselves confidently. That goes without saying. We discussed that to be able to project that you are the right fit, to project that you could actually be the best choice for the employer and will be able to fit in the requirement best, would be based on the preparation that you do, before going and appearing for the interview, right? So what is the kind of preparation that you do is something that we did discuss in the last session. Moving forward, once the interview begins, we discussed that the interviewer may want to break the ice with some initial questions, right? We share that how you can ensure a right body language without getting upset, without getting, too nervous and full of anxiety. You can break the ice right, answer the questions right. Followed to that some initial questions about, tell me about yourself. We did share a template in the last session wherein you tried to work on the PPS slides, the Google slides, so that I could take you through it. So yeah, so there are certain questions in the chat window. Okay, so no, this is not the first session. For those who have missed out the previous sessions, I recommend that you go and check the recordings of the previous session. Right. So, what were your other questions? Yeah. So, with reference to your language, okay. So, yeah, Umar Shikali, we do have the recordings. You will receive the recording. To access it later as well, right? Fine enough. So now talking about, yeah, so there are certain questions with reference to language as to what if I'm not able to have a good command over English. So in such a case, we really need to remember that English is just a medium of communication. It's just a medium of communication. But yes, we need to at least know a basic level of English, because the reason knowing English is not just that, you have to show how smart you are. It is also from the business angle, because they want you to know English so that they can interact with fluency. They can have you interact with the client requirements, the internal meetings. So of course you will have to work on your
Hello.
do a lot of reading. I will try to address this question as to how you can build a good command over English in the upcoming session. I will also try sharing some tips with you, given in a little later part, so that you can work on your English proficiency. And it is not that difficult. Trust me, it is not that difficult. The only mantra to be able to speak fluent English is, the more you listen and the more you practice, that both of them has to go hand in hand, right? So the listening and the speaking, both of these things are so important. So anything that goes inside has to be practiced on a regular basis. So that's the basic mantra, the way you can actually improve your communication in English. Nevertheless, there are a lot of other ways, but I would still suggest that the tips that I share when I get a next chance, I would try to share some quick tips on proficiency of English. Coming back to our topic, I would now like to take you through some set of questions that we may want to prepare ourselves for appearing for the interview. So look at this scenario. That you are right at the doorstep. Okay, you have entered the organization, and you have already entered the cabin, which we did discuss the last time. You've been already offered the place, you have settled down in the cabin, you have kept your stuff right on the next chair, as we discussed, not using their space too much, keeping your phone on silent mode, ensuring that you do not have too much of stuffs in your hand, that you are all cluttered. So all of these things we discussed, right? We also discussed that a handy folder with your resume is important, along with some additional support and documents related to your project and whatsoever has been requested for you to carry along while mentioned, by either the organization, the interviewer. So things would have been already shared with you earlier. So keep a check as to what are the requirements. If it has not been shared, then probably you may want to check with them before you go ahead and go and just get into the cabin. So get yourself prepared, okay, as to what all are the documents required. Now, let's begin. So the first question we discussed that, okay, tell me about yourself, right? So last time you shared about your templates. So further, you may want to refine it, wherein you talk precisely about what were the questions. Yeah, so Bharat, the template has already been mentioned in the Google Doc. So by any chance, if you've not received the document, the PDF file, maybe you may want to check with your friends or with the team. You would be able to access the document. The entire document is already being made available, so you would be able to see the template in there, right? So yeah, so now, let me quickly take you through some of the quick questions and how you can answer these questions effectively. Okay, so all right, so yeah, okay, Ashutosh, all right, if this is the first class, you may want to refer to the recordings earlier. Okay, now I'm going to quickly share my screen. Okay, so right, please able to share my screen. Give me a moment. Okay. All right. So we're figuring out about okay. So, all right. So now I'm the host. I'll be able to share my screen. Perfect. All right, so people, now let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share with you some quick questions. Okay, I want you to read this question very carefully. This is a document which has already been shared with you, and we're going to quickly discuss about these questions. Okay, so this document is available to you. Okay, about the do's, the don'ts, what are the expectations, all of these already mentioned in the document. Okay, now there are also some video links so that you could refer about how what can you talk about, tell me something about yourself. This is the template that was shared, which is already made available, so this is already there and you can refer to it later. Okay, now what I'm going to quickly take you through is about the next question. Okay, what makes you fit for the role, or why should we hire you? Okay, why should we hire you? So now this is the question. Let us understand, why do interviewers ask this question? Okay, let us quickly take this as a question. Say for instance, the interviewer is asking you, why should we hire you? Is it because they just want to test how confident you are, or how good you are, or whether they love rejecting and selecting people? Is that the reason as to why they want to know why they should hire you? Or is there some other reason? What is the reason as to why would an employer want to know why are they supposed to hire you? What do you think is the reason behind asking this? So I would appreciate if you would want to use the chat window. You may want to use the chat window and tell me as to why do you think the employer would ask this question as to why they would hire you? What do you think? Why do they know? Why do they want to know? Do they want you to kind of be aware about how amazing you are, or what are your strengths? They want you to know that. Or is there something more? Why would the employer ask this question? Think about it. Why would an employer want to know whether you are a good fit or not? Right? Absolutely. So why do they want to know that whether we are a good fit for that role or not? Why do they want to know? Think. Why do they want to know whether you are a good fit or not? Now imagine that they have already hired a candidate. Do you think you would be the only candidate who is eligible? Or do you think who would actually be?
अनम्यूट करो यार
person is really confident, is asking the right questions, technically very sound. Does that give them the right parameters to shortlist on you? Right? Okay. So, yeah, employer wants to know what I can offer to the company in terms of suitability of role, right? Whether I'm fit for the
Hello, ma'am. Can you please unmute all?
whether we are aware about the job description. Okay, but why do they want to know? I mean, whether you've done your homework or not, whether you've learned, you've read well or not. Why would they be really bothered that you have done your homework or not? Why do they want to know that? Do you think employers have so much of time to figure out whether you have read it right? Why? Why? So now look at this, okay? Look at this. They want to know how I present myself. But why? Why? Are they there as your teacher, as a faculty or as a mentor, just to train you that, okay, boss, this is where you are right, this is where you are wrong, you need to improve here? Are they there to teach you anything? Not really. They are not there to teach you. Okay. You have to remember, okay, if it's her job. Okay, it is her job. All right. So now, see, basically, the point is, okay, if whether that person is really interested in the job or not. Of course, these are all at the subconscious level. Okay, these inputs go at the subconscious level. The point is, they want to know whether you are the right fit or not from you, because it's going to make their job easy to connect your skill set and to the skill set they require, right? So that best fit is going to save them from the energy of shortlisting the right candidate, the wrong candidate, of making the right decision or not making the wrong decision. So you are going to make their job easy if you give the right answer, so that they don't have to think so hard whether this person is going to be the right fit or not. So your answers, if you give too much of reasoning with a lot of excessive information, which does not match precisely to what they are expecting, you will be wasting their time. And then they will have to think harder. They'll have to invest more time to find out whether you are a right fit or not. So your objective has to be to simplify your answer in such a way that it is very crisp, very clear, to match what they want to hear from you. So you have to be that smart if you really want to crack the interview. You have to know what do they want to hear from you. Okay, and to know what do they want to hear from you, you have to understand the requirement very well. So what we discussed in the previous session is doing your homework so well that you know exactly what they want, why they need this kind of, why do they have this requirement? What is the problem that this position is going to resolve, right? So now let's take this. I am going to quickly again share this. Okay. Okay, the host is constantly, okay. All right. So quickly as to why should we hire you? These are some quick pointers. That is, you need to mention the relevant skills. You need to know as to what skills are required. All of these questions. So all of these pointers to be addressed in the question, right? So now the point is that the content that you will be sharing with them, okay, the content that you'll be, I would request if you could not scribble on the screen, please, right? So the point here is that more specific that you are will help you to connect well with the requirement, okay? So there are some videos already mentioned, okay? Now look at your strengths. Look at your strengths. If the question is about what are your strengths? So talking about the strengths, don't just talk about any strength, Okay, you need to share those strengths, number one, which relate to the job profile, and number two, which are backed with experiences and stories. Okay, so all your strengths need to be backed with examples. So as much as examples that you can give, so that what you are saying is really the fact, so that they can trust you, is required. Correct? So you can mention about one, the strengths which are relevant to the job description already mentioned. Number two, you have their examples, some stories that you can mention that relates to what they were asking, right? And number three, most importantly, the relevance with what they are expecting. Okay, so you can refer to the resources again. Now, if you're talking about weaknesses, so again, do we talk about all the kind of weaknesses very transparently? No. Okay, so what kind of weaknesses do you mention? The weaknesses that projects your strengths in benefit to the company. Okay, so here talking that, unless and until I do not complete my work, I feel very restless. Sometimes I really feel that, until I do not complete my task, I don't feel contented, and that takes over me certain times. So you can talk about that as a weakness as well. So basically our idea here is that your weakness should not make you look weak for the organization, which eventually does not benefit the organization. Okay, so it should look like your strength. So always add on to how you are, number one, genuinely talking about your weakness that will probably project that you are either working on it or you are trying to get better on it, but you're also looking at how it can benefit the organization, right? And also that you are aware about it, and you're already working on it, right? So this is something that you can talk about your weaknesses. Now, see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly cover a couple of questions here. And then we are going to do a quick mock to understand as to how are we able to relate to these questions. Okay, so although after these sessions you would be having one-on-one mock individually to understand and to practice these learnings, right? So now coming back to our questions, next question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So this question is something which is very tricky. See, we do not know as to where are we going to really be. Okay, none of us knows. Okay, none of us knows. But showing that you have so much of potential and you are really aspiring for growth in the organization because you have that potential to take up such positions, could be one area where you would want to see yourself in the next 5 years. Learning, constant learning is always a good point to showcase. So you would be having a lot of exposure, you will be able to learn a lot of things, and you will be able to upgrade yourself. That could be second, right? So anything and everything that relates to, number one, the intellectual growth in the organization. Number two, contribute in a way that the organization also elevates and sees a lot of growth because of you, so that you are able to contribute heavily towards the vision of the organization, being instrumental in a way. And how will you relate here is, if you have studied well about what the organization's goal is, what is their vision, if you've already read it on their website, you will be able to mention that I have read on your site or in one of the articles that this is where you plan to be in the next 10 years. And I really look forward to contribute towards that vision in a way. So when you mention this, they realize that you've actually taken the pain to read about them. Secondly, that you are so clear about your goals. So your level of engagement with the organization, the level of commitment for the organization might be higher, is how they perceive, right? So these templates are already mentioned in your document, right? Then, do you have any questions for the interviewer? Do you have any questions for the interviewer, right? So, of course, you may have a lot of questions for the interviewer, right? But number one, not talking too much negative or irrelevant stuff which is publicly available, which you could have read otherwise. Do not ask these questions as to how many locations do you have, and what is the size of your company, how many people are there. This is something that you are supposed to already do your own homework, right? So the point is that the questions that you ask, number one, should be the ones which are not publicly available. Number two, you are really looking forward to growth. So you may ask questions with reference to how you can actually be able to contribute further. Okay. Yeah, I see some people raising hands. So I'm going to complete this question and then come back to you. Okay. We will definitely work on these questions. So my point here is, when you are asking the interviewer questions, the idea here is, one, ask questions that will help you to understand their expectations clearly so that you can make a decision whether you really will be comfortable with this profile, with this kind of, the assignments that they give, with the culture of the organization. So that kind of relevant questions with reference to understanding their expectations, right? That will help. I'm going to take a break here. Okay. I'm going to pause here for a moment. Okay. Now we have some questions here. Okay. Are they not mentioned in the chat window? Do you want to mention in the chat window any particular questions that you want to check with me on? Okay.
Ma'am, please share us the link.
All right. Yeah, I'll send the link. All right. Okay, so I'll try to speak loudly. Okay. Perfect. So I'll share the slides with you. Yeah. Sagar, do you have a question? Okay, people. So let me know. What are your questions? Where are you stuck at? Am I making sense to you? Okay, I'll try to be a little louder. Okay. All right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. You can increase the
So yeah,
volume.
we will share this document with you. Okay. Yeah. RJKRPD. Okay. All right. Why would you want to answer? What is your question? Quickly tell me or we move forward.
Ma'am, we want link for this session because while joining from that portal, it is refreshing every 5 minutes. That's why please share the link.
Right.
Zoom link.
Sure. Okay. So you want, so it has already been shared in the chat window. You can check that out. Right. So also the recording will be shared with you. Please share the document. Yeah. The recording will be shared.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Yes, hello. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Please share this document.
Yeah, we'll share this document with you. As I shared with you, this document will be shared with you from the team. By any chance, if you've not received it yet, some of your team members. Okay, some of your team members have received it. If you've not received, then probably we'll try to ask them to reshare it with you. Okay, try to reshare it with you. Okay, any specific questions other than that?
Share the link in chat box.
I'm sorry.
The document link is shared in chat box.
Sure. So that link will be shared from the management team. I have already shared it with them, right? So they will actually directly share with you. I would not be able to share it here. Okay. Now, coming back coming back to our questions. So now see, today what I'm going to do is, see, in the earlier sessions, what we did was we tried to have an interaction with you so that we feel the confidence. In a couple of these sessions, I'm going to do the most of the talking, fortunately or unfortunately, because there are certain learnings that we need to gain, right? So there are certain questions and there are certain answers, and I would like to just quickly address some of the ways to answer these questions with you so that you are prepared about, the answers. Okay. All right. So in the chat window, the document link has been shared with you. You may want to quickly check that and then refer to it for, your future reference. Okay, so now let's get back to our question answers. So coming back to our question answers, what we are now going to do is that all of these. So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to share with you these questions and these answers. Now look at this. If you had to answer this question, I want you to frame your own answer. Frame your own answer for this given question. Okay, so allow me to quickly share with you the link so that you can create your own answers here. And all of you will be able to see those answers so that we can learn from each other. All right. So now I'll just quickly share. Okay, so as you look at the link, I'm just quickly sharing in the window. Okay, just look at this link and you can click on this link. Okay, now if you click on this link, it will take you to a Google presentation. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen here and you will
Ma'am, link is not active.
The link is active. A lot of people have already joined. 42 people have already joined. So refresh your page, and then see. Okay, now look at this screen. Okay, now let us take the first question. Okay, this one. What makes you fit for the role, or why should we hire you? Okay, so now say for instance, pick up one of the requirements that the client has given us. Okay, why do you think you would be the best person for this job? Okay, so now if you had to write down your skill set which are relevant to a job profile, what would that be? So look at your own designation. What is it that you are actually applying for? What is the requirement that they have, right? The kind of projects that you have done. So all of these, if you had to put in a nutshell, okay, what will you actually answer? So say for example, it was a front-end role. Okay, what will be your answer? What do you think will be your skills according to that job profile? Are there any relevant projects that you've already tried earlier? Okay, do you have any proofs for these projects? So while you look at the screen, you can pick up these pointers and then try writing on one of the Google slides. Okay, so write down your name on that slide and then think about how will you answer these questions. Okay, so for those who are unable to access the link because of too many people logged in, you may want to type in the chat window itself. Okay, so write in the chat window about how will you answer. How will you answer the question? So write down the possible points that you would mention in this. The question is what? What makes you fit for the role, or why should we hire you? That's the question, right? So type in the chat window if you're not able to check or access the link. Think about the relevant answers. What do you think would be the right answer here?
Hello.
Yes. Are you able to access the link?
No, ma'am. Not access.
Not access. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll share my screen with you so that you know the template and try answering for yourself. Okay. You can use the chat window. You can use the chat window to be able to create your own answers. Okay. So take one of the examples. Take one of the examples here, whether it could be a front-end role or it could be for a software developer role. Pick up any one. Pick up any one. Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right, I have the desired skills required. Okay. So, are we aware about all the skills? So we need to figure out as to what are all those skills that I'm really good at.
Ma'am, someone copied my answer.
Okay, no problem. So you also copy it again, right? All right. Secondly, relevant projects are very important. These relevant projects could be even while you were working, while you were doing your internship, while you were studying. Do you have some projects here? You can mention those projects. Okay. All right. So you can be a good team player, help myself to grow at the same time. Okay. Right. So Bhavika, we need to be more focused on what we can offer. Right. So here we are mentioning that, okay, please give me an opportunity to work with you. But before you say that, you have to prove yourself as to why you are really a good fit. Right. So while you're talking about why should we hire you, the why should be the maximum part. Right. Instead of please hire me, please hire me. The why has to be more important. And the why here means the logic that you give. Okay, the logic that you give. So here there are two logics. One is the desired skills that they require. Okay, so what are the skills that is required which are relevant to the job profile? You need to build up on them. That, you know, I have already worked on this skill set. I already have the skills. These are the kind of projects that I did earlier which relate to these skills. Right? So you have to state examples so that they believe that you can actually deliver well, right? Okay. Yeah, Soumya. So of course, when there is a fresher, we do not have experience, but we definitely must have done some projects, right? There are some projects that we've already worked on. So while you were actually studying, you would have done some projects. So you can mention those projects and tell them that how interesting it was, how much you enjoyed that process of learning, right, Soumya? So you have to give those examples. Okay. Okay. Right. So Vipul, this is absolutely good. So the desired skills, and then you may want to mention all those skills, right? So here, whether you are writing the desired skills or while we are appearing for the interview, we'll actually list them down. Okay. We'll list down the achievements, we'll list down the exact skills, the exact education, the projects that we have done with examples. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic, Prajakta. That's a good way to answer. Okay, I'm a quick learner. Okay, so you have to be a little more precise on other than being a quick learner. Okay, so share about what makes you a quick learner, and just a quick learner is not enough, right? So just because I'm a quick learner, so am I here to just learn things? When will I learn and when will I deliver? So first of all, we are not here to sit and teach you, right? So just a quick learner will not help. You also have to tell them as to how good you are. What is the level of expertise you have in that skill set? Okay.
Ma'am, can you please give us one demo answer to like have a reference to that question?
Yeah. So exactly. So what we've done, Bhavika, we've already mentioned these demo answers in this link. Okay. So there are exactly, what you can answer with these links. So allow me to just quickly share that with you.
Ma'am, can you take a real-time example and tell how can we approach to a company? Like if I want to approach for a SDE in a Google company, in Google, then how do I prove them that I am the best person you can hire?
Right. Absolutely. So take an example here. Let's take an example. So if you are, what is the first question that you would want to answer here? So while you are applying for this organization, why would we hire you? Would have to match with the job requirement. Okay, with their job requirement. So what is the role that they are offering? So say, for example, it is a front end role. Now, what I'll do is I'll take you through a proper template so that you could refer to it with an example. I'm just trying to play this video. Give me a moment. So what I'll do is I'll quickly, take you through an example as you suggested. So I'm just going to quickly share this audio with you. So just listen to this audio carefully, okay?
Hi.
Are you able to hear this audio with an example? Are you able to hear the audio?
I think I can be a great fit for this role because I believe one, I have strong fundamental clarity and knowledge of JavaScript. I am also comfortable working with React.js and Redux. And having done multiple front-end projects and having some hands-on experience working with the front-end technologies, I think I could fit into the role really well. In my last internships, I had worked on multiple complex dashboards, building the front end part right from designing it to developing it. And I think I have a decent design sense also. Apart from that, I have worked on fairly complex projects for fairly complex side projects, which I was keen on building. Right. For example, I worked on building a MCQ test taking app where a user's camera and microphone is also recorded. Right. And apart from that, when I was learning front end, I had done multiple projects around building YouTube clones, building great landing pages, and working with multiple components on the front end side. Right. So I think my experience and my work previously with front-end dev could be a great fit for this role. Apart from that, I'm really excited and looking forward at the role because I think Razorpay is a great company, and I've heard lots about the culture there and how I'm a big fan of taking ownership for my own work and getting things done and at my own sort of way, right? But making sure that we stick to deadlines. So I think. Razorpay could be a great fit for me as a company in terms of the culture and the people there, which I can get to work with and learn from. And that's why I think these are primarily the reasons why I applied, and I think I could be a great fit for this role too.
So basically, this was basically one of the examples. Now, I shared it with you because you asked me to, and this already has been shared in the document that I have, given to you as well. So you would be able to access these answers too. So even if it is, a front end, or even if there was some another kind of, question with reference to another kind of a position. So say for example, I'll take you to another audio link. Okay, so I'll just play the another link for a software development role. Okay, now look at this. I'll type in the chat window so that you could actually refer it a little later. The link, I'll just try sharing the link in the chat window so that you could refer it. Okay, so I just typed in the chat window. All right, so here again, there is another link. You can access this link. You can actually listen to it later as well. But just for your quick understanding, I'll just play it for you.
So
yeah. So I'm just playing this link for you.
From my understanding about Phenom people and what they work on, what software they build, and the kind of people and culture which exists at Phenom, I've heard a lot of my AccioJob friends also who have now joined Phenom and are working with Phenom, that the culture, the people, the overall learning environment is amazing at Phenom. And that is something which I want to prioritize in my early stage of my career, that I get into a firm, a company where I get to work on, learn from senior people there and hone my skills, first of all, as I'm an entry level joinee as of now. But apart from that, I think in the last couple of years, I've upskilled myself, and I think I'm good at my problem solving skills. I've worked on multiple projects on the dev side, which have made me comfortable with programming, coding, understanding code, gaining some fundamental knowledge around dev. And all of those things, I think, could be coming in very handy in this role to implement all my learnings till now. And apart from that, being a really enthusiastic, hardworking learner with the team in itself will make me a great software engineer and help me contribute to Phenom over the next few years when I get to build myself and the company working with you.
Right. So see, this was also a helpful answer for the freshers as well. So some of you who mentioned that, what if I am a newbie, I'm a fresher here, or what kind of answers could I, give? Then this is something that you could also try. So see, I would love to, address some specific areas of concern that you have. Nevertheless, we really need to, focus on that. What are the expectations that the employer is is really looking at. Okay, and aligning it to their expectation is very important. So even in both of these, whether it is somebody who's already worked a bit earlier, or somebody who's actually a fresher, in both of these cases it is important that you align it to the requirement. As I have read from here, my skill sets match to your requirements. So somewhere or the other we have to constantly let them know that why I can be the best fit here, why I can actually be the solution to your problem, right? So that's where we really have to work on. Okay, all right. So Vikas, how to identify yourself? What am I? Okay, so see, basically, you have to try and understand that what am I means that are you really relevant for this job position or not, right? You first need to know that. Do you have that skill set? Right. So when you ask yourself that, okay, if this is the JD and these are the skill sets, have I worked on these skill sets or not? You'll get your answer, won't you? Right. I understand. I do not know why the voice is so low today, and you're not able to hear me well. I am really sorry about that.
Ma'am, I have a question. May I ask right now?
Yeah, Rishabh, tell me.
Ma'am, if interviewer asks me a question, why you have to switch in IT sector? Ma'am, it becomes I am a civil engineer and I have to also work there approx 1.6 years, but I have not a exact relatable answer. So can you give me the exact relatable answer?
Definitely. Right. So basically, one is that, the reason why they want to know is that why do you keep switching? Right. So one area that you have to focus on is that you have to tell them that you always had an inclination towards IT. Okay. And you
Yes.
always wanted to, these kind of projects always excited you. You always used to do it on the back end. Nevertheless, you did not get the right opportunity in the beginning. That's why you tried your hands on something else, but you are more than excited now because now you've got something of your passion back again and you want to make the maximum out of this opportunity. So here we are constantly going to tell them that I am not confused and I am not doubtful about my area of interest. This field has always been my area of interest. It was just that I did not get the opportunity at that time, but now I am getting this opportunity and I want to ensure that I continue my career ahead in this field.
Okay.
Am I making sense to you?
Yeah,
Rishabh?
yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Basically, what we are going to do here is that you may want to, number one, talk about your passion. Number two,
Yes.
your answer has to be more logical and reasonable as to why you had to, switch over to something else.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
This is very major question. Why you are switching? Actually, I have to also work there. In my resume, I have to show what I'm doing in last 2 years.
right,
So this type of actually I'm not too perfect to give the exact reason. I'm not to go to make the any local answer like that. I want to become the give the answer like relatable, so
right.
they can be fetch me easily.
Right. So, see, basically, one reason why you would want to make that switches, definitely you see a lot of growth prospect here. You see that this field interests you. It helps you in improving your already existing skill sets, and of course, you want to make your career into this field in the future. So, I think that focusing on all of these reasons should be good enough, wherein you are trying to help them understand the reason behind changing this domain of yours. Yeah. So these two important areas: one, the growth prospect that you see in that industry, in that profile, and number
Yes,
two,
yes, ma'am.
that this field is going to help you already on improving your present skill set, which are relevant to the requirement. And this has been something your passion always. So all these three reasons are good enough for the employer to, buy your suggestions and your, idea of why you are looking forward to the switch.
Okay.
So, nevertheless, what I'll also do is in the upcoming session, I'll share with you a template as well, which could be added in this document too, so that you could create your answer based on the template as well. So I'll kind of create an answer for you, and then maybe you can use that template for your answers.
Ma'am, I had a question related to this. Can I say?
Yes.
Ma'am, as many folks are from not tech background,
Hmm.
so many hardworking means completed their graduation in something civil engineer, then they work for 2 years as a site engineer plus project manager, and some also develop means management skills. So if the interviewer asks, means you are switching now your whole field, so how it will help us, and as you are not wasted your time during these 6 years.
Hmm. Correct. I get you.
So this will be the main question.
Absolutely right. See, basically, we really need to understand this, that if we accept ourselves, that at the right in the beginning, we may not have found what is our calling, and now we have. Okay, there must be a reason, no, why you switched over from becoming a civil engineer and now you switched over to IT. Do you have a valid reason for that? Before even telling the employer, do you yourself have a valid reason for that? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. As there is no growth as a site engineer or project manager, because in this field only the means, as we say, ठेकेदार contractors which are not educated, they only have their weightage as they had experience and lots of money.
Right. So growth, right? Growth, exposure, both of these are the major reasons why you switched over. Correct. Now, look at this. Learning is a constant process. Okay. And there is no age barrier in learning. Certain times we identify or we find out our calling very early, and sometimes we find it later. And I personally believe that learning is a constant process. And maybe earlier I did not find my calling there, and also I did not see so much of growth. Now that field has given me so much of an exposure and awareness that that's not really something that I would want to, continue further. Having switched over to IT, I learned that this is something that really interests me. These are the kind of projects that I did, which excited me so much. And I also see so much of growth in this industry. And then you mention about some of your projects as to, how it really helped you challenge your own limitations, and you learned so much in the process. And that's the reason you want to continue working in this field. So you can always thank, the opportunity that you got to be able to switch over into this career. So once again, what we are trying to, focus more on is the same thing. That is, one, earlier you did not realize that, the previous field that you had opted for was not the right fit. You were not aware that time, but now you are, and we all learn from our mistakes. So I have now realized that this is something that I really want to make my career in, and I'm fully confident that I will be able to really do well here, because this is something that now really interests me, and I see a lot of growth in here. So stagnation is something that nobody enjoys, and I really see myself contributing heavily for the organization and be instrumental in their vision and in their future goals. So the more confidence that you show, that's what the interviewers are really looking for. So you can constantly talk about this, that the past is past, you have taken up your learnings, and now you're looking forward to the future, the growth prospect, and how that field is really going to help you, one, be instrumental in the organization's growth, number two, in improvising your skill, and number three, that it's your area of interest and passion. Am I making sense to you? Does that help you, Vikas?
Yes, ma'am. And I also mention one question. Means, as interviewer asked, how we can help them. As I learned to handle people and handle clients and manage projects by alone only. So how it, I means, put in a sentence to impress the interviewer in this field.
I do
That
get your question. Are you saying that how will I work in my teams and ensure that the work is done
means
effectively?
the experience which I get as I'm working as a site engineer, so I used to manage laborers, contractors, and execute whole project, means from starting to end,
Right,
and handling also clients which are coming to see sites.
right,
So these things which I had learned, managing skills.
right.
So how it will help, means I want to tell interviewer that this will help to the company, as
Wonderful.
I learned these skills from my sectors.
Absolutely, Aditya. So see, while you were even saying that, why should we hire you, and or why did you switch over this job? For both of these, you can use this experience, all right, as your strength. So these past learnings, how it has taught you is how do you really manage teams? How do you get the work done really well and effectively and ensure delivering the right results along with working with the team? So all of these experiences has helped me align well with my team members and ensure that the result is achieved. So I'm pretty confident that these learnings will help me not only be a good team player, but also a good team leader in the future. So this is how you can, share about how these learnings can help the organization take you as the best fit, because that past is not just something which you really did not learn anything, but what you learned, what you can carry forward and help this organization as well. Am I making sense, Aditya?
Yes, ma'am. Now I get it.
Okay. So now for see the session. Okay, so the session is for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we have almost completed our discussion. So for further discussions, what we are going to do is, by any chance you have not received this manual, we'll ask the team members to share this document back again with you in your groups, so that you can refer to it, all the templates, all the questions, so that in the next discussion, even this audio links are already mentioned in this document. You can click on it and download these links and refer to it as well. Okay? So, right, I'll just quickly take, I'll just quickly take 1 or 2 questions if you have before we conclude
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
Yes,
Hello,
Neeraj.
am I audible?
Yes, Neeraj, you are.
Ma'am, myself Chanchal को लेकर, can you hear
Yes,
me?
Chanchal. Yes, Chanchal, I can now.
Ma'am, the same question I have. I have a 3 years of experience in sales and marketing, as I'm handling a whole team of 25 people over here, and I have a very good experience of sales. So while I will give the interview. So how can I introduce my skills, my sales skills, so that the interviewer can value it?
True. True. So let's see this, Chanchal, that, while you are talking about sales, what are the key skills other than sales? Okay, so sales is the end result. What are the key skills that can be highlighted here? One could be communication. Two could be getting the work done, right? Because sales is not just about doing things, it is about persuading, right? So getting the work done and getting the end result. And 3, of course, working with multiple stakeholders so that the result is achieved. So what you could do is, as a sales professional, these are some of the things that I perceive that, these were the skill sets that probably, you would already have mastered. So keeping that in mind, now relate it to the requirement. Okay, so say for example, if the job description, any kind of a job, does require basic communication, does require comprehension so that you can understand the requirement of the client easily, also working in teams together, and also ensuring that the results are delivered. So having given my 3 years of, by any chance, they ask you that, okay, why are you really switching over, and you were a sales professional and now you are getting into IT. If this kind of a question comes up, how you can show that this has been can be used as a strength for the organization. So of course you're going to talk about that, these learnings, you see more prospect here. So first part is going to be more on your interest in the IT sector. Then you would say, nevertheless, my experience or my exposure in the sales field has helped me not only become very confident, as a communicator, but also my comprehension skill, that is trying to understand what exactly is the expectation, and then being able to build up on, what I really need to do to be able to deliver that requirement. That comprehension has really helped me deliver what is required. So I understand the requirement well, and I'm able to ensure that, with whatsoever skill sets required, I deliver results. So I think those learnings in that profession has made me a person who is more of a go-getter, a result-focused person who takes up a lot of challenges as an opportunity, because you would agree that, in the sales field, there are so many challenges, so many targets. And this has made me really a strong and a powerful person to go ahead and look at any challenge as an opportunity to, eventually get the result done. So you can pick up, some of these elements, Chanchal, based on your experience. So reflect on those experiences of yours. So what I shared with you would be something that, I also myself has experienced, that, as a sales professional, these were the skill sets that helps. You can reflect it on further details and see the relevance with the organization.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the suggestion.
It's a pleasure, Sanchal, right?
Can I ask
Hello,
one more
ma'am.
thing? Hello.
Yeah, hi, ma'am.
Sorry, who's this? You can just tell me your name so that I know whom I'm listening to.
Kryptonic here.
Kryptonic.
Yes. Now, my case is very different from both of these guys.
Right.
In my case, I'm still a fresher from a relatively good college. That's the only positive thing about me as of now. And because of some setbacks, my for 2 years. So how do I go about all these questions? Because I have almost zero experience with in the tech field or any other field as such.
Right. So in these 2 years of time, allow me to ask you this question, Kryptonic. In these 2 years of time, did you do any kind of a learning or self-upgradation, anything that you did positively to, upgrade yourself?
Yeah, I was just trying to, focus on just polishing my skills, and I'm joining this course as well.
Correct.
For that sake, yeah. And apart from that, nothing else.
Right. So now, Kryptonic, you need to remember that first of all, you have to tell yourself that you have invested that time, you have not wasted that time. Okay. If you are confident, that's what will be reflected. So nothing other than that, don't use this sentence to the interviewer. Okay. So you have to just talk about how smartly and consciously you have tried to bank upon whatsoever available opportunities you had. Okay. So now how you can project that to the interviewer is, one, you will tell them that first, why this industry interests you and things like that. We're talking about, relevant question as to why there is a gap in between. Okay. Secondly, you have, so why are we going to talk about that, why this interests me is because we want to tell them that I am the right fit here. Secondly, we're going to tell them that talking about my gap. Okay. So, life comes up with a lot of challenges, certain setbacks, which are not in our control. But what we make out of that is what actually, turns the game around. And I am really, a great learner. I have learned that given any opportunity to upgrade yourself so that we can achieve our goals is a good opportunity. So I have given the best of my time, invested so that I could completely focus on upgrading myself 100% and ensure that the time that I invested, I am fully confident and I master that skill. So for these entire 2 years, what I did was I enrolled into this course, and this is what I learned. I came up during this internship or during my, project study. These were the projects that I did. This is the kind of exposure I gained. And this time that I had at my disposal, I could make the maximum out of it. I also enrolled into A, B, C, D courses. which eventually made me a very confident person that today when I'm talking to you, I'm very sure that I could be the best fit because I have done a lot of practice into so and so projects during this entire 2 years. So even there was a gap, but I will still not consider that as a gap because I have constantly been practicing my learnings, not just learning. So what we're going to do here, Kryptonic, is we're going to try and let them realize that these 2 years of a gap, I was not sitting idle. I was learning something, I was practicing my learnings, and I have made the maximum out of it so that I can actually come back to your organization and be instrumental in achieving your vision. You know? So to me, this would be the right way to address this question by projecting that this 2 years of gap, you are not feeling embarrassed about it, but you are proud of it that you've made the maximum out of it, and how you can be instrumental towards their requirement, you know, how you can be the best fit. Am I making sense, Kryptonic? Does that help you?
Yeah. It definitely makes sense.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
My pleasure, Kryptonic. Yeah. Who's this, please?
My name is Neeraj, ma'am.
Yeah, Neeraj. Okay, so we go with the last question, Neeraj, before we conclude.
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, a question. Previously, I attended the Wipro interview, and instructor asked me one question like, "What is the greatest mistake you have done till?" So,
I'm sorry, your voice is cracking.
Ma'am, instructor asked me one question like, "What greatest mistake you have done till?"
Okay.
So how I supposed to answer this question?
Okay. So see, there could be various answers to this question. Whether you have had an opportunity to make such a mistake or not, I'm not sure. But what kind of mistakes you may want to highlight, okay, is something that I can, you know, kind of suggest you. So a mistake wherein you have gained some learnings, okay, or a mistake wherein you made some assumptions that this person will be able to do this for you, and then eventually the result was not achieved because of either the assumption, the communication gap. Okay, so you could talk about that, you know, any of the project wherein, you know, one of your professors had asked your entire team to work on a particular project, and you know, you felt that you will do your bit and the rest of the team members will do their bit. But eventually, you know, all of us were working individually on the common assignment. And then when we actually had to deliver a group presentation, we realized that, you know, we were not in sync. So though that was a mistake, but it has been a major learning for my life that when we are working in a team, synchronization is very important. So from that day onwards, although I made that mistake of working individually despite of being in a team, I have learned that there should never be a communication gap and there should be enough of synchronization so that the end result is achieved, to ensure that there are no mishaps at the end, because that hampers the credibility of not only the our team, but also about our class and, you know, about the college as well. So, you know, how you are talking about a mistake along with the learning and how you realize that you will never do it again. So these kinds of mistakes lets the interviewer know that you realize how working in team is important, how synchronizing with other team members is important, how not having a communication gap is important. So this is where, despite of your mistake, you will not make them look like, you know, you are a fool. You have realized it and now you've never done it again. Right? Is that helpful, Neeraj?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All right. So, okay. Now what we're going to do is, once again, for those of you who have not received the document, we will again ask the team to share the document with you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, this is Roshan here. Ma'am, I have a question regarding how to negotiate with the salary package. suppose once a company is like this sort of salary, but I don't want to regret that I can even get a better salary in the same company. So how to come this situation?
Roshan, I'm not able to hear you well. So are you talking something related to salary? Are you talking about salary package?
Especially regarding salary package, how to negotiate that situation?
How to do it?
How to negotiate that situation, ma'am?
Right. So Roshan, we are already covering about salaries in the next session because that's going to go towards the end. Right?
Hello, ma'am.
Covering that.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am. How to handle the weakness?
How to handle the
Your weakness question.
address of the weaknesses, right? So I have already mentioned in the Google Doc, in the PDF that you will receive, I've already mentioned in there along with the tips that you need to talk about by covering your weaknesses. You can refer to the doc, and we've already discussed.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can you ask the person to mute it because we are not hearing your voice?
I'm not able to hear you. You may type in the chat window, right? And nevertheless, if your questions are unaddressed, if your questions are still unaddressed, you may want to type your questions in one of these sheet. I'm going to share a link with you. The questions still stay unaddressed. Put your questions in here. Put your questions in here. And questions in the next session. Once again, thank you so much for your participation. And I look forward to you and we'll try covering the rest of the.
Hello, ma'am.
My only refer to the PDF document so that most of the questions will be answered. Thank you so much for your participation. I look forward to back again and I'm able to address your questions. I hope that whatever questions that I was able to address and looking forward to that again. And I'll do something about the voice this time. I didn't know very clear to you, but we'll try to figure this out in the next session. All right. So thank you once again for all your participation and looking forward to see you in the next session. Do refer to the PDF file, and if unanswered questions, you can access the Google Doc link. And thank you. Bye. Nice.